Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So it's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Here's a legitimate question for you. What is freakier? P. Diddy's freak-offs or the World Economic Forum's just policies? Because both of them are just wild and filled with unnecessary amounts of lubricant. But at a recent WIF or World Economic Forum TED Talk, if you would, they're talking about how the First Amendment, the freedom of our speech, is getting in the way, and they want to remove it so that they can institutionalize a ministry of truth. Let me repeat that again. They want to get rid of the First Amendment for freedom of speech to instill the ministry of truth. Now, I may be crazy, and I may be just a random dude, but I can assure you one thing. There will be no truths administered in the ministry of truth. And if you guys think I'm crazy, let's just watch this video.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways, and
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
Really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States? And I think
Now, I don't even know where to start to pick this apart. One, they're legit. This is like a round table of villains. Like, if you wanted to understand how the League of Villains operate, this is it. These are legitimately people whose job, whose mindset it is to be kings, to govern the bodies of people. And they see social media, or in their words, self-selecting news outlets, as being destructive or harmful to these people who are trying to govern these large bodies. They're legitimately saying to you in front of your face, and you just have to be able to read down the middle and contextualize what it is they're saying. These people are not looking out for the average American, the average middleman, even lower class. These are people who are looking out strictly for the upper class, the elites who have control over the mass amount of people. And they literally said they want to hammer this shit out. Hammer this shit out, being the First Amendment, and they want to hammer it out so that once more they can administer what is true. And if we could please just go back just a little bit, let's look at how the vid was handled. If you said where it was actually from at the beginning of the pandemic, you were going to get ostracized. You were saying that you were fake news. If you were talking about different ways of maybe medicating yourself and being a healthy individual and doing some push-ups and running outside, and maybe the masks don't really work, and like if you started pushing that early on, you were seen as a crazy person. You were seen as being bad for the community, right? Being a detriment to society. But as we go on, we figured out that some of these things were true. And that if we looked and we just listened to the government, we would have vaccine passports. How many people lost their jobs because they didn't want to take the vaccine? There's no repercussion. There's no accountability for that. I'm going to go back to my first question. What's freakier? P. Diddy's freak-offs or these policies set in place by the World Economic Forum? And they want you to use your freedom to go out and vote to get rid of your freedom. How crazy is that? How crazy. But if you guys would, please like the video, subscribe. I think it helps me get seen by more people. We have seen a little bump in the channel, which is great. But at the end of the day, this channel is me just speaking out to the world, to the abyss. Hopefully you guys are speaking back. But what in the world is going on? What in the world is going on with the world? That's what this is all about. I think that's what this channel is really going to be about. It's just kind of me speaking on what's going on in my world and what I'm seeing on the timeline. But with that said, if you guys did like the video, if you guys did learn something, you guys think this is just as crazy as I do, share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.